The Wuhan virus is gone, or we learn to live with it. But it has left a different pandemic in its wake. Clinical depression. A new study finds that depression rates in the US are at record levels. In fact, depression has been on the rise across the world. In 2021, 4 in 10 adults worldwide said they faced depression and anxiety, and the numbers just keep going up. But why is this happening? A simple answer is the pandemic and its aftermath. But there's a lot more to it. The American dream has turned into American depression. A new study says people in the US are more depressed than ever before. This is according to a Gallup survey. It says 29% of Americans have been diagnosed with depression at some point in their lives. That's 3 out of 10 Americans. The figure is 10 points higher than what it was in 2015. The number of people suffering depression is almost 18%. That's 1/6 of America, a staggering number. What explains this? The Wuhan virus pandemic. It brought not just death and suffering, but also crippling loneliness. People under lockdown were trapped at home, separated from their loved ones, and that took a toll. That trauma hasn't been completely processed yet. Many are still reeling from long-term depression, and the effects aren't spread evenly. Women have been affected disproportionately. Around 25% of American women are currently depressed. COVID-era job cuts targeted them more. Many had to quit their jobs to look after children and the elderly. Then there are the frontline workers. In 2019, about 80% of U.S. healthcare workers were women. So more women experience the horrors of the Wuhan virus uploads. Watching so many people die is bound to have an effect. And while this study was on the U.S., the numbers around the world aren't any better. In 2020, about 20% of the people around the world said they had experienced depression. The numbers were the highest in Latin America. About 33%. 27% in Russia and Central Asia. 26% in Australia and New Zealand. 20% the world over, except East Asia. But only 9% of the people said that they faced depression personally. But that doesn't mean that Japan, South Korea and Taiwan are exceptionally happy places. It just means that the stigma of talking about mental health issues runs high in this region. Increasingly, countries are trying to fix this to destigmatize talking about depression, and the youth is leading. The world over, the youth are voicing their frustration. They're sick and tired and refuse to suffer in silence.
They haven't enough vehicles to have it. I would not want to leave. Everyone is here, my family, my companions, my friends. But in the last 2 years, I've caught myself thinking about it. There are days when my partner and I, at dawn from a 12-hour shift, we calculate what we made during these hours as compared to the European countries. And I get depressed. I feel a sense of futility.
That is the basic feeling, futility, almost. I'd say this because I look at it several ways. That's why almost all studies know that young people are the most depressed section of society, because young people talk about their mental health, and maybe that's the way forward. You can't fix a problem if you don't admit that it exists.